Well, we all have heard about the Miss Universe or Miss World. But have you heard about Miss Ugly? Yes, there is a title called as the ugliest woman in the world. Now, this title was given to Mary Ann Bevan. Now, Mary Ann was an English woman who was a nurse by profession and had developed a very kind of a disease which is called as acromegaly, which basically distorts your facial features and also enlarges you beyond what you're supposed to be. Now, can you imagine the kind of trauma it is brought upon a lady who goes through such an effect or such a disease upon her life? I remember working in TLM and how young girls would come in diagnosed of leprosy, and when we tell them to take MDT, which is the multi-drug therapy which they have to take in order to contain the disease, they would outrightly say no to it. And the reason is, when you take that drug, it causes facial discoloration, and no young girl, in fact nobody wants to get a facial discoloration and be a stigma in the society that they're living in. Now, for Mary, the disease slowly progressed and made her absolutely unemployable. To the extent she lost her husband very, very young in life, and she was left to fend for her 4 children. And it is told that she entered into a contest which was the world's ugliest woman, and she won it because of her facial deformity. And eventually she joined circus, and she toured city to city and to country, and eventually ended up in the US in one of the biggest circus firms there. And she will be displayed where people from all walks of life will come to see her. Now, can you imagine the psychological, emotional trauma that she goes through just standing on the ramps and letting people just see her the way she is? And people, of course, ridiculed her, laughed at her because they came to see the most ugliest woman in the world. But what we forget to celebrate is this, that Mary was also a very hard-working lady, to the extent that she uses her deformity and her problems in life to provide for her 4 children, to the extent that she was able to take all her children to the US and put them in a boarding school and give them a very good education. Not much have changed in our world today. We are living in a cruel world where people judge us by the looks of our face. They judge us by the color of our skin. They judge us by the accent we speak in, our language, our lineage, and our mark sheet, our job description, job designation, and the list can go on and on and on. And as you read the scriptures, you realize Prophet Samuel, the very prophet of God, falls prey to it. He goes into the house of Jesse to anoint the next king of Israel, and he looks at Eliab, the older son, muscular guy, handsome, and he thinks, oh wow, here is the man whom God has chosen. And God kind of reprimands him and tells him, Samuel, yes, men may look on the outside, but I, the Lord, look on the inside. And as the story goes, David, who was attending for the sheep, is called back from his job because all the sons who stood by, God disqualified. And when David came, the Lord said, yes, here is the man who should be anointed as the king of Israel. Today, we have all kinds of people around us, all kinds of deformities around us. You have people with autism, you have people suffering with all kinds of cerebral palsy and Down syndrome and whatnot. But here is the scriptural instruction to us that every person, every being is made in the image of God, imago Dei. Every person is so very precious to the Lord. I was visiting a family recently, and one of their sons is affected by autism. And I looked at him and I realized, my goodness, bringing that child up is going to be very challenging. In fact, it is very challenging. But that child, with the difficulty that he has in life, is still very precious to God, is very, very precious to God, for he also is made in the image of God. And if I may say, what we value, we celebrate. And as Christians, we are called to value that which is right, so that even our celebrations would become right. So may I say, my dear friends, doesn't matter where you come from and how you look like and what disease you're suffering from today. You're tall, you're short, you're black or you're fair, whatever. You got to be beautiful on the inside, and we are. And God does not look just on the outside. He looks on the inside, and He calls each one of us beautiful, for He is our Creator and He smiles over us. Yes, Mary Ann Vivan is perhaps the most ugliest woman in the world, but also the most beautiful woman in the world, the way she lived her life in order to provide for her children.